Hello children, today we have got the discussion of GMAIN 2020 September 5th evening shift physics paper. Okay, let us begin the discussion with our first question. In the circuit given in the figure, currents in different branches and value of one resistor are shown. The potential at point B with respect to the point A is. Here, let us first of all mark the directions of current. Partially it is given. The current here is 1 ampere, current here is 2 ampere. So, current at this branch, it must be 1 ampere downward to satisfy charge conservation rule, and that is postulated by Kirchhoff's junction rule. And here the current should be 1 ampere. Here the current is 1 ampere. Here also it is 1 ampere, as this 1 ampere is said. Here the current is 2 ampere. Here also in this branch current is 2 ampere. For finding the potential difference between B and A, asked the potential at B with respect to A, that is VB minus VA is asked. Writing VB minus VA, for that we begin from B, along this loop from B. Okay, take B as positive, so VB moving to the left to D, there is a potential gain because you are moving from minus to plus. I am using the convention potential gain positive and potential drop negative. So, here from B to D there is a potential gain as we move from minus to plus. So, that is plus 2, that is plus 2, plus 2. Now, coming down to meet A, from D to C, there is a current of 1 ampere flowing down. We know along the current there is a potential drop. So, you choose minus sign there. The potential drop is 1 into 2 using Ohm's law, current into that resistance 1 into 2, and that is minus 1 into 2. Okay, now we have reached C. From C to A, going from C to A, you will meet another cell where you first meet positive then negative. That means from C to A, you are meeting a potential drop of 1 volt. As it is potential drop, you give minus 1. Now we have reached A. The potential of A is relatively negative, as we have assumed B has to be positive. So, minus VA is equal to 0. The algebraic sum of potential changes is equal to 0 between A and B, considering that as an open loop. That is VB minus VA is asked. VB minus VA is equal to this plus 2 and minus 2 cancels. This minus 1 going to the right side become plus 1. So, the correct answer is plus 1, that is first option. Okay, next one. Parallel plate capacitor has length L. It is shown in the picture already. Width W, separation small letter d between the plates. It is connected to a battery of voltage V. The dielectric slab of same thickness D is filled partially, inserted partially between the plates of the capacitor. K is equal to 4, inserted between it is mentioned. At what length of the slab inside the plates will the energy stored, so that the energy is 2 times the initial energy. We know as the battery is connected, the potential difference remains a constant. That is the first concept. And energy, potential energy is equal to half C V square, as V is remaining a constant. Because battery remained connected, the potential energy is found to be proportional to the capacitance. Okay, that it is given that the initial energy is UI, final energy is UF. It is given the energy stored in the capacitor be 2 times the energy stored initially, that is UF is equal to 2 UI, that is C final is equal to 2 times C initial. So, final capacitance of the combination after insertion of the slab should be double the initial capacitance. Okay. What is the initial capacitance? Initial capacitance, that is without adding the dielectrics. Okay, that formula we know, epsilon 0 times area divided by D. Epsilon 0 times, what is the area? Area is L is the length, W is the width. So, LW divided by distance between the plates. So, epsilon 0 A by D, it is an air capacitor without any other dielectric medium inserted. That is the initial capacity. Okay. Now, what about the final capacity? Final capacity is looking like this, that the dielectric suppose is inserted from the lower portion to the higher portion and it is filled up to distance x. Okay. And the separation of the dielectric filled portion of capacitance and the other part will be same, D remains same, but area is shared. When area is shared, these two different media having different dielectric properties are two different capacitors and they are two connected in parallel. We know in parallel combination, equivalent capacitance is the sum of capacitance of each, that you have to add the capacity of the lower part and also the upper part where air is the dielectric. We know lower part has a dielectric constant 4, upper part has dielectric constant 1 and we add up those capacities. Okay, so final capacity is equal to final capacity CF is equal to, what is the capacity of the lower half, lower part, that is epsilon 0 times what is the area, x is the length, W is the width. Now, epsilon 0 into area into dielectric constant, that is 4 into 4 divided by D. Okay. Plus we have to add the capacitor of the capacitance of the air capacitor. What is that? Epsilon 0 times what is that length? That is L minus x. What is that breadth? That is same, no change. Divided by separation is also same, but the dielectric constant there is only 1, so you need not write there. Okay. Now it is given that this capacity is equal to 2 times that one. That is epsilon 0 x W into 4 divided by D plus epsilon 0 into L minus x into W divided by D, that is equal to 2 times the initial capacitance, that is 2 times epsilon 0 LW divided by D. We know epsilon 0 W by D is common factor in all, epsilon 0 W by D, epsilon 0 W by D cancels. Okay. Now, this can be written as 4x plus L minus x is equal to 2L. Okay, that is 3x is equal to L. So, x is equal to L by 3. That means the answer is x is equal to L by 3. Option 3 is the right answer. Okay, next one. 10 charges are placed on circumference of a circle of radius r with constant angular separation between successive charges, and alternate charges have positive sign and the rest of that have negative sign. Okay. Total angle is 360 degree and how many charges have been kept? 3 plus 2 5, 5 plus 5, 10 charges. So, separation will be 36 degrees. Angular separation of each of these lines, neighboring lines will be 36 degrees. Okay. And totally number 10 number of charges, 5 plus charges and 5 minus charges are shown in this picture. What is the potential and electric field at the center? We know definitely the potential at the center should be 0 because all those charges on adding you get total charge 0. If any configuration having no charge, it will have 0 potential. So, potential is 0. Now, we have to find out whether field is 0 or not. Potential is 0, there are two options. Okay. So, and can be 2 or 3 the answer. Now, we are finding the field. Field due to this plus q alone. What is the direction of field due to that plus q alone? Field due to plus q alone is downward. Field due to plus q alone is downward. field due to plus q alone is downward. Okay, field due to this minus q is also downward, so that the field along vertically downward direction is the twice the field due to a charge q. Suppose this plus q has got a field here E at the center O, then this minus q also has got a field E numerically also in same direction, so that the total field is 2E. Okay. Now here the field is 2E. Now what about the other charges? Here plus q has got a field E in the upward direction like this. That minus q also has got E, and that also results a field 2E. What about the other charges? Here this plus q has got a field towards right, that minus q also has identically, that is 2E. What about this one? This plus q has got a field towards uh, this side, and minus q also in that direction, and that also will be 2E. What about the others? This charge, this plus q has got also a field towards that direction radially outward. That minus q also has got the same, numerically same, and that also will be 2E. Now we have mentioned all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 10 charges. Okay, one field direction indicated for 2 charges. Totally 10 charges. Now I have drawn 5 lines. Now finished. Now angle between each of these lines will be 72 degree. Yes, 36 into 2. 72 degrees. Okay, what is the resultant? As all these vectors are of equal magnitude and they are equally angular separated, the resultant field also must be 0. So the correct answer is third option, V equal to 0, E equal to 0. Next one, iron rod of volume 10 power minus 3 meter cube and relative permeability 1000 is placed as core in solenoid with 10 turns per centimeter. If a current of 0.5 ampere is passed through the solenoid, then the magnetic dipole moment of the rod is. We have to find the magnetic dipole moment of the rod. Volume is given, permeability, relative permeability given, turns per centimeter, turns per unit length given, current given. We have to find the magnetic dipole moment. We know the formula for magnetization. We have learned from our textbook, in CRT textbook, that magnetization vector capital M is defined as the total magnetic dipole moment divided by volume. So in this way you can find out the magnitude of the magnetization vector, that is the total magnetic dipole moment is equal to magnetization times volume, but also we have learned susceptibility. Magnetic susceptibility chi is equal to M by H, where we can write M is equal to chi H. So here chi H V, but susceptibility is not given. One more equation is to be remembered, that is magnetic susceptibility is equal to mu r minus 1. That you substitute chi equal to mu r minus 1. One more equation you should know, that magnetic intensity or intensity of magnetizing field H is equal to turns per unit length times current, that is small letter Ni times volume. So the final result can be magnetization is equal to mu r minus 1, that is 1000 minus 1 into turns per unit length. Answer needed is in SI. Turns per centimeter is given. Per 1 centimeter there are 10 turns, then per 1 meter there will be 1000 turns. So multiplied by 1000 into current is 1 by 2 ampere. Volume is 10 power minus 3. Then the correct answer is this one would be 999. This cancels, 1000 and minus 3 cancels. Now this becomes 1 by 2. Okay, that can be nearly 1000 by 2. You neglect that minus 1 there, that is 500. So 500 is the correct answer. So option D is the correct answer. Okay, next one. An infinitely long straight wire carrying current, one side opened rectangular loop and conductor C with sliding connector are located in same plane as shown in figure. The connector has length L, resistance R, it slides to the right with velocity V as mentioned in picture. Resistance of the conductor and the self-inductance of the loop are negligible. Induced current in the loop as a function of separation R between the connector and the straight wire is, we know the conductor uh, is moving here, the conductor sliding part of the conductor having resistance R and length L. The conducting wire is of length L and resistance R is a sliding connector, and that moves with a velocity in a perpendicular magnetic field, because the straight infinitely long wire shown to the left side gives a magnetic field to the right of it. Okay, the magnetic field is not uniform because the wire is moving away. Okay, but over small distances the magnetic field can be assumed as to be uniform. So let us find out the magnetic field equation. Magnetic field due to infinite long wire at some point, okay, distant small letter r is mu 0 I divided by 2 pi r. Okay, now considering the movement of this sliding wire over very small distance, the magnetic field is assumed a constant. Then the velocity, instantaneous velocity is v, that is velocity is constant. Now conductor is moving in magnetic field, definitely induces motional EMF. So concept is motional EMF. When conductor is moving in magnetic field, the EMF is motional EMF. Now what is the formula for motional EMF? Motional EMF is given by magnetic field times velocity times length. Okay, as magnetic field, velocity and length all are mutually perpendicular, the motional EMF has maximum value, that is B into V into L. What is motional EMF now? Motional EMF is B into V into L, that is the motional EMF, that is motional EMF. So motional EMF epsilon is equal to BVL. Okay, now that is equal to mu naught I divided by 2 pi r V times L. Okay, now where small letter r is the distance. Okay, now what is the induced current in this loop? As the motional EMF can send, potential difference can send a current as it forms a closed loop. The current I, current I, current I is equal to mu naught, that induced current is small letter I. Capital letter I is the current which is the source of magnetic field, mu 0 I by 2 pi r times VL divided by resistance. So mu 0 I VL divided by 2 pi r into R, okay, is the instantaneous current flowing, and that instantaneous current varies with the distance as 1 by r. Okay, so the correct answer is box, and this is the given in option box. So the correct answer is box. Okay, next one. The acceleration due to gravity on Earth's surface at the poles is g. Angular velocity about the axis passing through the center, okay, is omega. Object weighed at equator. An object is weighed at equator. When an object is weighed at equator, we know the apparent acceleration here would be g dash, where g dash is equal to g minus g is that at equator minus omega square r. The value of g at surface poles is g, it is given. At poles is g, at poles is g. Now at equator, due to rotational effect, due to the centrifuging effect, the apparent acceleration or the recorded acceleration is lesser than the acceleration due to gravity. Okay, that is g minus omega square. Okay, so that g dash minus g is equal to magnitude wise omega square r. Now we lift an object, the same object, to a height small letter h above the poles by using a spring balance, and we weight it. We weigh this. The weights are found to be same. For finding the weights same, apparent acceleration should be same. Here the acceleration g1 is equal to g into 1 minus, we know the formula for acceleration due to gravity with altitude variations, g dash equal to g into 1 minus 2h divided by r, where you get g1 minus g is equal to numerically 2gh by r. What is g1 minus g is equal to 2gh by r. Okay, for weights are to be same, the changes in acceleration due to gravities, due to rotation on equator and due to lifting to a higher altitude at poles must be same. So g dash minus g and g1 minus g must be same numerically. That means we have to write 2gh divided by r is equal to omega square r. Then we get h is equal to omega square r square divided by 2g. Omega square r square by 2g appears in option 4. So correct answer is 4. Next one. Two coherent sources of sound S1 and S2 produce sound waves of same wavelength lambda is equal to 1 meter in phase. S1 and S2 are placed 1.5 meter apart. It is shown in picture. S1 and S2 are placed 1.5 meter apart. Now, a listener located at L directly in front of S2 finds that the intensity is at minimum. That means an observer at L directly in front of S2 sees a minimum, listens to a minimum, that means undergoes destructive interference. These two coherent sources interfere destructively when he is at a distance 2 meter away from S2. So, distance from S2 to the point L where a minimum is observed is 2 meter. Now, let us find out the path difference between S2 and S1, waves from S2 and S1 at L. What is the path difference? Path difference at L, path difference at L, that is equal to S1 L minus S2 L. But we know S2 L is equal to 2 meter, but S1 L is not known to us. What is S1 L? For finding S1 L, draw this line joining the two. What is S1 L? That is used Pythagoras theorem, 1.5 and 2 meter. Everyone has learned Pythagoras theorem, and you can easily note this as root of 1.5 square, that is 2.25, plus 2 square, that is 4, that square root of 6.25, that will be 2.5 meter. So, S1L is measured as 2.5 meter. Now, the path difference is 2.5 minus 2, that is equal to 0.5 meter. But it is given wavelength lambda is equal to 1 meter. That implies the path difference delta is equal to 0.5. 0.5 means lambda by 2. Path difference lambda by 2. So, at the point L, the path difference is lambda by 2. That means that is the first minimum. That is the first minimum. Condition for first minimum, lambda by 2. Okay. Now, keeping this distance S2 fixed, keeping the distance S2 fixed, the listener is moving away from S1. How to move? Keeping the distance S2 to the listener fixed, the listener must move in a circle. Listener must move in a circle which is centered at S2. The circle over which the listener is moving is centered at S2, because that distance 2 meter is to be fixed. But you know, the distance from S1 to that point would change. Okay, and at some position when the listener reaches, he listens to maximum. Now he listens to maximum at this point. This point it was minimum. Minimum happened at lambda by 2 path difference. Path difference equal to lambda by 2. We know first minimum path difference lambda by 2. The next to that first maximum comes with a path difference lambda. So here path difference must be 1 lambda. That means 1 meter is the path difference, because lambda is 1 meter it is given. Now what is the equation for path difference? At the new point, let that point be named M. At M, at the point M, what is the path difference delta? Delta is equal to d minus 2, and that is equal to 1. So d is equal to 3. So correct answer is 3. Second option is the right answer. Okay, it's a very nice one. Next one. A driver in a car approaching a vertical wall notices that the frequency of his car horn has changed from 440 to 480 hertz. When it gets reflected from the wall, the speed of sound in air is 345 meter per second. Speed of the car is Doppler effect in reflected sound. The formula to be used is nu dash is equal to nu into V plus VL divided by V minus Vs. But here velocity listener and source both have same velocity, because listener is sitting inside the source producing the sound. Car is producing the siren, listener is sitting inside the car. So the siren or the source and the listener both are moving with same velocity. So VL and Vs are same. Okay, let VL equal to Vs. What is asked? That is our speed of the car. Let that be x. Okay, then let us write nu dash, the shifted frequency, the bigger 480 divided by 440. I am bringing that nu to the denominator of left side. V plus VL. V is the velocity of sound in air. 345 plus x divided by 345 minus x. Okay, you try to cross multiply and get the answer. 54 kilometer per hour is the correct answer. Okay, you check the calculation part. Next one. In an adiabatic process, the density of diatomic gas becomes 32 times the initial value. The final pressure is found to be n times the initial pressure. Then what is the value of n? For an adiabatic process, we know equation of state of adiabatic process is P proportional to 1 by V raised to gamma. P proportional 1 by V raised to gamma, but volume varies inversely with density. We know volume is equal to mass by density. Okay, these processes are conducted at constant mass. So volume proportional to 1 by density. So P proportional 1 by V raised to gamma means P proportional rho raised to gamma. So the final pressure is P2, initial pressure is P1, that is equal to rho 2 divided by rho 1 all raised to gamma, where gamma is the ratio of specific heats as it is diatomic gas. For diatomic gas, the value of gamma is 7 by 5, and rho 2 by rho 1 is given 32. 32 can be written as 2 raised to 5. 2 raised to 5 raised to 7 by 5 will be 2 raised to 7. 2 raised to 7 is 128. So the correct answer is dog. Next one. A radioactive nucleus decays by two different processes. Half-life for the first process is 10 seconds and that for the second one is 100 seconds. The effective half-life of the nucleus is close to. We know disintegration per second is the decay constant. Okay, there are two different processes by which the disintegration occur. the total disintegration constant will be the sum of disintegration constants of each. That means the total number of nuclei disintegrated per second is the sum of the disintegrations per second by each of those processes. Then the total disintegration constant is lambda, that can be the sum of lambda 1 and lambda 2, and this is the basic principle. Total decay per second equal to decay per second by alpha, decay per second through beta, like that. There are two different processes by which decay takes place. Now lambda can be written as 0.693 divided by t half, lambda 1 0.693 by t1, lambda 2.693 by t2. Then we got this equation that 1 by t equal to 1 by t1 plus 1 by t2, so that you take the LCM and reciprocal, take the LCM and reciprocal, you get t1 t2 divided by t1 plus t2. Here t1 and t2 are 110, so 100 into 10 divided by 100 plus 10, and you get 100 by 11, nearly answer 9 seconds. Okay. Next, a ring is hung on a nail. It can oscillate without slipping or sliding in its plane with a time period t1. In its plane with a time period t1. Let it oscillate in its plane with a time period t1. Okay, it oscillating in its plane with a time period t1. Okay, without slipping or sliding. If it oscillates in its plane, it will oscillate like this, in the plane of this plane of the smart board. Okay, so that the axis would be here, hinged. It is hinged here, so that the axis would be like this. Okay, now that axis is the tangential axis of the ring perpendicular to the plane of the ring. That axis is passing through the tangent of the ring perpendicular to the plane of the ring. We know the moment of inertia I1 is equal to 2 mr square. Next time the same ring is oscillating back and forth in a direction perpendicular to its plane. That means it will oscillate like this. It is oscillating like this. Okay, there the axis will be in its own plane. That is the moment of inertia I2 is equal to, what is the moment of inertia of the thin uniform ring about an axis passing through the tangent and parallel to the plane of the ring, that is 3 by 2 mr square. Okay, and also we know the time period as 2 pi square root of 2 time period of a physical pendulum, 2 pi root I by mgd, 2 pi root I by mgd, time period of a physical pendulum. Simple pendulum is a physical pendulum, okay, with d is equal to L, I is equal to ml square. Then you get 2 pi root L by g. This is the general equation for time period of a physical pendulum, where d is the distance from the supporting point to the center of gravity, I is the moment of inertia of the rigid body about that pivot, m is the mass of the rigid body. Here time period is found to be proportional to square root of moment of inertia, then T1 by T2 equals square root of I1 by I2. See, I1 by I2, I am only using these numerical parts, that is 3 by 2, that is 2 divided by root 3, so the correct answer is apple. Okay, next one. In the circuit given, charge on 5 microfarad capacitor is. Here the circuit analysis is very important. Here we have to find out the charge on 5 microfarad alone. For that we have to find the potential at this point. Okay, assuming the potential at this point to be 0. Okay, let us assume the potential at this point be 0, because this negative of the cell is assumed to be at 0 potential, then the positive is at plus 6 volt. That is why this lead will have a plus 6 volt. This is plus 6, this is plus 6 and this is 0. So, this terminal is 0, this terminal is plus 6. For the same reason, this is plus 6. So, this terminal will be of plus 6 volt. Okay. Now, at any junction, for evaluating the potential, we have to use the junction rule, Kirchhoff's junction rule, that is conservation of charge. Algebraic sum of charges at the junction is 0. So, here the total charge at this point, the total charge must be summed up to 0. For finding the total charge potential at this point at the junction, we need to know the potentials at the ends, one here, one here, one here. Okay. Now, writing the rule, Kirchhoff's rule, that is total charge is equal to 0. Total charge in 2 microfarad. We know formula, charge Q is equal to CV is the only formula used. What is the charge here in 2 microfarad? That is capacitance. Capacitance is 2 multiplied by potential difference. What is the potential difference? V minus 6. We assume that V is at a greater potential than the other end. We assume V minus 6. Next one, plus algebraic sum of the charges will be 0. Next charge here. What about this one? Capacitance 5. What is the potential difference? That is V minus 0. I am writing V. Okay. Plus, what about this capacity? That is 4. What is the potential difference between the two? V minus 6. Everywhere we assume V is at greater potential, then you need not worry about the directions of charge flow, need not worry about the polarities of that capacitors while finding, okay, due to the property of the conservation of charge. Okay. Anyway, this is the way by which we have to write the sum of charges at the point, sum of charges at the point V, that is equal to 0. Sum of charges at the point V is equal to 0, algebraic sum. Now, that is 2V minus 12 plus 5V plus 4V minus 24 equal to 0. 2V, 5V, 4V, 11V is equal to here 24 plus 12, 36, that becomes plus 36. So, V you got as 36 by 11 volt. Now, we can easily find the charge on any branches. Okay, what is the charge on the branch, this branch? Charge Q is equal to potential difference. Potential difference is V minus 0. V is 36 by 11 into capacity is 5. That is 36 into 5 divided by 11. The calculation you can check, the answer is second option. Okay. So, take this as approximately 10, then 3 into 5, 15, no other options. Take this as 10, then this will be 3.6, then 3 into 5 is 15, slightly more than 15, that is only second option. So, correct answer is that. Next one, in an experiment to verify Stokes law, a small spherical body of radius r, density rho, falls under gravity through distance h in air before entering a water tank. The terminal velocity of the ball inside water is same as its velocity just before entering the water surface. Then the value of h is proportional to. We are asked to ignore viscosity of air. That means when it falls through air, we can ignore the viscosity. Also, we can ignore the upthrust because air offers little density. Only their weight, the ball is falling through air, it has only weight, gravitational fall. That means it assumes a velocity which is equal to root 2gh when it hits the water. So, velocity when it hits water is equal to square root of 2gh is the velocity, and that itself is the terminal velocity. What is the formula for terminal velocity? terminal velocity is equal to 2 by 9 r square rho L rho s minus rho L divided by eta into g. Okay, now equating these two we get, and squaring we get, or equating root 2 gh is equal to 2 by 9 r square rho s minus rho Lg divided by eta. That is, here root h is found to be proportional to r square, that is h proportional to r raised to 4. So, the correct answer is box. Okay. Next, two different wires having lengths L1 and L2 and respective temperature coefficients are alpha 1 and alpha 2 joined end to end. Effective temperature coefficient of linear expansion is, when they are joined in series. Okay, two wires are joined in series, two wires are of different expansivities and their lengths are also different. Okay, when these two are given a temperature difference, what is the formula for effective temperature coefficient of a single rod which when replaces these two? Okay, that means here the total expansion produced by these two should be same as that expansion produced by that single rod of effective expansivity. That is the principle. If you replace these two by a single rod, okay, the expansion delta L, change in length, offered by that single rod must be equal to sum of change in lengths offered by each of these. So, the total delta L equivalent is equal to delta L1 plus delta L2. What is delta L1? L1 alpha 1 delta T plus, because the wires are given a constant temperature difference all along the cross sections of the wires, L2 alpha 2 delta T. Delta T is same. Changes in temperatures are occurring uniformly over every cross sections of the wire. Here delta L equivalent will be, total length is L1 plus L2. Now alpha equivalent delta T. Delta T can be cancelled throughout and alpha equivalent is equal to L1 alpha 1 plus L2 alpha 2 divided by L1 plus L2, fourth option. Next, quantities. 1 by root mu naught epsilon naught is speed of light in vacuum. E by B, electric field and magnetic field. We know the ratio also gives to velocity. So, x and y both are velocities. Okay. Z, L by RC. L means length. RC means time constant of RC circuit. So, L by T means meter per second. So, X, Y, Z all have same dimensions of meter per second. So, the correct answer is box. Next, galvanometer is used in laboratory for detecting the null point in electrical experiments. If on passing a current of 6 milliampere, it produces a deflection of 2 degree, then figure of merit. Figure of merit is the reciprocal of current sensitivity of a galvanometer. Okay, current sensitivity is the deflection per unit current. Current sensitivity means deflection per unit current. So, figure of merit means current per unit deflection. So, let us find out the ratio current per unit deflection. Current is 6 milliampere, 6 into 10 raised to minus 3 divided by 2, that is 3 into 10 raised to minus 3 ampere per division. So, first option is the correct answer. Next one, velocity time graph of a body in a straight line motion is shown in figure. Point S is 4.333 seconds. Point S is at 4.333 seconds. It is not at 4. Okay, slightly more than 4. Okay, that is very important here. The total distance covered by the body in 6 seconds. We know the total distance from velocity time graph is the numerical sum of areas. Area above plus area below, need not subtract, you add those areas. So, first you find the area above for finding total distance. What is the area above? That is a trapezium. We know area is equal to average of the parallel faces. What is the average? 4.333. 4.333 plus, and this length of this parallel face is 223, that is 1 divided by 2, okay, multiplied by the separation between the parallel faces. What is the separation between parallel faces? That is 4. Now, not over, plus here this triangle, half into base into height, half into, what is the base? Base is not 2 because it is to be found 0 to S, 0 to S is 4.333 and 0 to D is 6. Then the rest of that will be 6 minus 4.333, okay, and that is 1.7, nearly 1.67, okay, I take 1.7, right, that 1.7 multiplied by that altitude, altitude is 2, altitude is 2, 2 cancels, and S is equal to 5.3 by 2, 5.3 by 2 into 4, 2 cancels, plus 1.7, that is equal to 10.6 plus 1.7, that is 12.3. It is not 12, it is not 12 but close to 12.3, 12.3, that is answer, fourth option, 37 by 3, okay. Next one, a spaceship in space sweeps stationary interplanetary dust. That is why it needs extra energy to move. As a result, its mass increases. It sweeps the extra interplanetary dust, so its mass increases on moving ahead. And that rate is dm by dt equal to bv square, where v is the instantaneous velocity. We know on doubling the velocity, the mass increase rate would be quadrupled. Okay, that is the law they are given. Instantaneous acceleration of the satellite. We know satellite in space is acted upon by a thrust, that is equal to v, where v is the exhaust velocity, times dm divided by dt. V dm by dt is the exhaust velocity. V is the exhaust velocity, dm by dt is the rate of change of mass of rocket, rate of loss of mass of rocket. So, V dm by dt is the force. Okay, here dm by dt is bv square. So, what is the acceleration? Acceleration is force per unit mass. So, dm by dt itself is bv square. One more v appears here. So, bv cube divided by m. So, the correct answer is dog. Okay. Next one. Two Zener diodes A and B have breakdown voltages 6 volt and 4 volt respectively are connected as shown. The output V0 variation with the input voltage. Okay, we know the particularity of a Zener diode is it is used as a voltage regulator. The regulated voltage is available only when the applied voltage is greater than the Zener voltage. Okay, here this combination as consisting of two Zener diodes which are reverse biased together, it should be reverse bias for acting as a regulator. Anyway, that biasing or polarities are not shown. Anyway, it should be reverse bias. 6 and V are connected and a constant voltage is only available when the uh, output voltage is input voltage is greater than 6 volt. As the input voltage is not a constant, it increases as per the question. Input voltage is increasing with the time steadily. As time goes, it steadily increases the input voltage. On increasing the input voltage, we know when the voltage is less than 4 volt, when the input voltage is less than 4 volt, none of these diodes will be undergone breakdown, Zener breakdown will not be undergone. That is why it will not carry any current. So, the supply voltage will be completely uh, available across the output, and that increases linearly. As the input increases linearly, at the same rate the output also increases linearly. That is why that is shown in all graphs. What happens when it reaches 4 volt? When it reaches 4 volt, the 4 volt undergoes breakdown, but not 6 volt. Okay, but when the voltage further increases to 6 volt, it undergoes uh, and it regulates. So, the constant voltage is only available at 6 volt. That is why the correct answer is fourth option. Fourth option is the correct answer, and there is a slight decrease in the slope from 4 to 6, because up to after 4 to 6, 4 volt will be inactive and 6 volt will be active. Okay, that is why the voltage across the output is more, then the voltage across the uh, series resistance will be greater, sorry, lesser, which reduces the total current. As the total current reduces, the slope reduces slightly. So, the correct answer is 4. Next one, the correct match. You can very easily verify this. X-rays means that begins with a few angstrom, 1 angstrom, 2 angstrom, 1 to 4 angstrom that are soft X-rays, 4 to 100 that are, sorry, 1 to 4 that are hard X-rays, 4 to 100 soft X-rays, so and so. So, X-rays here angstrom, that means D means 3. D3 comes for 2 options. Okay, now we see radio waves. Here radio waves are of few meters, 100 meter. So, C should come with 1, C1. So, the correct answer is dog. You can verify the rest of the values also, very simple one. Next, surface of a metal is illuminated alternately with photons of energies E1 equal to 4 electron volt and E2 equal to 2.5 electron volt respectively. Ratio of maximum speeds of the photoelectrons emitted in 2 cases is 2. Work function of the metal is, we know Einstein's photoelectric equation, that incident energy is given E1, work function may be phi 0, the maximum kinetic energy may be K1 in that case. How to write that equation? That is K1 is equal to E1 plus phi 0. Okay. Now, similarly, when second case K2 is equal to E2 plus phi 0, let us take the change, or let us take the ratio or change, whatever, for finding this work function. Okay, you solve these two equations, that is all. First we take the difference, that means K1 minus K2 is equal to E1 minus E2, because phi 0 cancels on subtracting. E1 minus E2 is 4 minus 2.5, that is equal to 1.5 electron volt, and also it is given that velocity ratio of maximum speeds is 2, that means velocity of second one is equal to 2 times velocity of first one. Maximum velocity in second one, maximum velocity of photoelectrons in second one is 2 times that of first one, it is given. That means maximum kinetic energy is 4 times that of first case. So, K2 equal to 4 K1, okay. It is V2 equal to, sorry, V1 is equal to, it was by mistake, that was V1 is equal to, V1 is equal to 2V2. Then K1 is equal to 4 K2, because initial energy, incident energy is more for E1. Okay. So, K1 is equal to 4 K2. So, 4 K2 minus K2 equal to 1.5, that is 3 K2 equal to 1.5. Now, you got K2 as 1.5 divided by 3, that is 0.5. So, maximum kinetic energy in the second case is 0.5. Here you can find out the work function. So, 0.5 is equal to E2. E2 is 2.5 plus phi 0. So, that phi 0 is equal to 0.5 minus 2.5, that is equal to difference will be 2, and work function can never be negative. That is why the correct answer is 2 and should be expressed as 2.00 electron volt. Next one, 22nd, nitrogen gas is at 300 degrees Celsius temperature. Temperature in Kelvin at which RMS speed of hydrogen molecule would be equal to RMS speed of nitrogen molecule is. Molar mass of nitrogen is given 28 and that of hydrogen we know 2. Okay, now the formula for RMS speed is V RMS is equal to square root of 3 RT divided by M, and it is given that V hydrogen is equal to V nitrogen. Okay, on squaring that roots will get cancelled. Now 3R also cancels, that is T hydrogen divided by M hydrogen is 2, that is equal to T nitrogen. T nitrogen is in Kelvin 573 divided by 28. So that T hydrogen is equal to 573 multiplied by 2 divided by 28, and you will get an answer 41.00 numerical. Next one, thin rod of mass 0.9 kilogram and length 1 meter is suspended at rest from one end so that it can freely oscillate in the vertical plane. A particle of mass, that is not move, particle of mass 0.1 kilogram is moving in a straight line with velocity 80 meter per second, hits the rod at its bottommost point and sticks to it. Angular speed of the rod immediately after the collision. Okay. Now, what is the initial angular momentum? We equate the initial angular momentum before the system has got, before collision the system has got an angular momentum, that is the initial angular momentum. That is equal to soon after hitting, what is the angular momentum? Immediately after the collision, that should be same, because there is no external torque acting during this collision. That is, angular momentum is conserved. So initial angular momentum of the system will be moment of linear momentum. Linear momentum of the particle of mass small m, say the mass of the particle be small m, its linear momentum is mv, then the angular momentum about the point of suspension O is the point of suspension, angular momentum about the point of suspension will be linear momentum times the perpendicular distance, that is L. So mvl is the angular momentum before, just before collision. Okay, and the rod does not have any angular momentum before collision, the particle has only. Now, soon after the collision, the system moves together. The system moves together after sticks to it. That is a perfectly inelastic collision. Okay, what is the angular momentum? When it undergoes rotation, that is I omega. What is I here? Moment of inertia of the composite system of the rod and the sticked particle. What is that moment of inertia? Moment of inertia of the rod alone is capital M L square by 3, where capital M is the mass of the rod, small m is the mass of the particle, care should be taken, plus moment of inertia of the rod is written. Now moment of inertia of the particle is at the tip of the hanging rod and the particle goes in a circle keeping the distance constant, which is equal to L, length of the rod. So particle's mass is m, distance is L, so moment of inertia of the particle part is ml square. So plus small m times L square, that is the total moment of inertia of the composite system, times omega. Okay, here you can cancel 1L throughout. Okay, now omega can be found. Small letter m is known to you, small letter m is known to you, 0.1 times velocity is known to you, 80 is equal to capital M is 0.9 and length is 1 by 3 plus small letter m 0.1 into length 1 into omega, that is 8 is equal to 0.9 divided by 3, that is 0.3 plus 0.1 times omega. So 8 is equal to 0.4 times omega. So omega is equal to 8 by 0.4, that is 80 divided by 4, that is equal to 20.00 is the correct answer. Next one. A body of mass 2 kg is driven by an engine delivering constant power 1 joule per second, means 1 watt. The body starts from rest and moves in a straight line. After 9 seconds, the body has moved a distance in meter. What is the distance moved after 9 seconds? Delivering constant power. We know power P is equal to force times velocity. But we know force is equal to mass into acceleration. Now power is equal to mass into acceleration can be written as dv by dt times velocity. From this we can get the variables separated, that is dv v is equal to p by m dt. Now it is ready to integrate. Integrate on both sides between the limits 0 and v to velocity, 0 and t for time. That is v square by 2 is equal to p by m t. Okay, p by m times t. Now you get v is equal to square root of 2p by m into t raised to 1 by 2. We need the distance. So v can be written as dx by dt. So dx dt is equal to square root of 2p by m times t raised to 1 by 2. Separation of variables once again. Dx is equal to square root of 2p by m into t raised to 1 by 2 dt. On integrating from 0 to x, you get x is equal to square root of 2p by m is a constant. On integrating t raised to 1 by 2 dt, that would be t raised to 3 by 2 divided by 3 by 2. That comes here as 2 by 3. That is x is equal to 2 by 3 times root of 2 times power is 1 watt, mass is 2 kilo, t raised to 3 by 2. That is 9 raised to 3 by 2. 9 can be written as 3 square raised to 3 by 2. That 2 cancels. Here 2 by 3 times square root of this one cancels 1 times 3 cube becomes 27. Okay, now that will be 18.00 will be the correct answer. 18.00 will be the correct answer. Next one. A prism of angle 1 degree has a refractive index of 1.5. A good estimate for the minimum angle of deviation is close to n by 10. Value of n is. We know for a thin prism, angle of deviation is equal to n minus 1 into a, where a is the angle of the prism and n is the refractive index, only used for thin prism and is known as thin prism formula. Thin prisms are those prisms having very small angles of prisms, say 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, 5 degree, like that. Here it has only 1 degree. Now what is the deviation? That is equal to 1.5 minus 1 times 1, that is equal to 0.5 degree. That is equal to 5 divided by 10. So delta equal to 5 by 10, that is n by 10. So n is equal to 5.00. So correct answer is 5.00. With that, we have completed the discussion of the paper 2020 September 5th GMAIN evening shift physics paper. Thank you.